Life is heavy. People will doubt you, betray you, criticize you, and if you let it, their voices will drown out your own. But what if I told you, the moment you stop caring about their opinions is the moment you start breathing free? This is Denzel Washington, and tonight, I'm going to walk you through the shadows. Because in the shadows is where the real power lies. You see, the reason most people never live free, the reason they never taste true peace, is because they care too much. They care what people think. They care about opinions, whispers, rumors, and comments. They walk into a room, and instead of owning it, they shrink, wondering, what do they see when they look at me? That's the chain. That's the prison. And the truth is, most of those people you're worried about, they don't even care about you. They're not losing sleep over you. They're too busy wrestling with their own demons, their own insecurities, their own failures. But you've handed them the keys to your freedom. Let me tell you something. When you live for their approval, you die by their rejection. When you live for their applause, you break under their silence. You cannot afford to place your destiny in the shaky hands of other people. Their opinion is not your truth. Their opinion is not your future. Their opinion is not your God. You ever notice how some of the greatest people to ever walk this earth were hated in their own time, misunderstood, mocked, criticized, yet today we call them legends? They didn't wait for validation. They didn't wait for applause. They walked their road. They spoke their truth. And because of that, their names are carved in history. Now here's the question: are you living to be remembered, or are you living to be accepted? Listen to me. If you want real power, if you want real peace, you've got to learn the art of detachment. You've got to wake up every morning and remind yourself, I don't need their approval. I don't need their permission. I don't need their applause. Because the moment you stop caring, that's the moment you start living. That's the moment the weight comes off your chest. That's the moment you breathe again. But I get it. Detachment isn't easy. From the time we were kids, we were trained to seek validation. When you bring home a report card, you want your parents to smile. You win a game, you want the crowd to cheer. You post a picture, you want the likes to roll in. And over time, you build a habit, a craving. You start needing it like oxygen. And when you don't get it, you suffocate. That's why so many people feel empty. Because they're inhaling opinions instead of the truth. Here's the shift when you detach. You don't stop caring about people. You stop caring about their control over your life. That's the difference. You love people, you respect them, but you don't live for them. Their words can't shake you. Their silence can't break you. Their rejection can't stop you. Because you've made a decision. I'm not chasing applause, I'm chasing purpose. And let me warn you, when you stop caring, they'll notice. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're cold. They'll say you don't care anymore. And they're right, you don't care anymore. You don't care about small talk, gossip, fake friends, or shallow praise. You've outgrown it. Because now you've tapped into something deeper. You're not living for the crowd, you're living for the calling. Think about this. If Jesus needed everyone's approval, there would be no cross. If Martin Luther King needed everyone's applause, there would be no dream. If Mandela needed everyone's acceptance, there would be no freedom. The very things that changed the world came from people who didn't bow to opinion. So why are you bowing? Why are you shrinking? Why are you letting somebody's small view of you stop you from living big? The moment you detach from validation is the moment you become untouchable. Because now they can't use rejection against you. They can't manipulate you with silence. They can't flatter you into compromise. You're free. Free to move, free to speak, free to live. And here's the part most people don't want to face. You're going to lose some people when you detach. Some people will walk away because the only reason they were close was that you needed them. You needed their approval, their opinion, their pat on the back. But when you don't need them anymore, when you stand tall without their applause, you'll see who's real. And that's a blessing. Because every person who leaves clears space for the ones who truly belong. So here's my challenge to you tomorrow morning. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, whose opinion is holding me back? Whose voice is living in my head rent-free? Who am I secretly performing for? And then make a decision. Choose to detach. Because you'll never step into your power until you stop living for theirs. Pain. That's a word most people run from. They hate it. They hide from it. They medicate it, bury it, numb it. But listen to me carefully. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is not weakness. Pain is not punishment. Pain is power. It is the rawest, most honest teacher you will ever have in your life. I've lived long enough, I've seen enough to know this: no one escapes pain. Not you, not me, not the strongest, not the richest, not the most powerful. Everybody bleeds. Everybody breaks. Everybody cries in the dark when nobody's watching. The question is not whether pain will come. The question is, what will you do when it does? Will you let it destroy you, or will you let it build you? Because pain has two faces. On one side, it can cripple you. It can lock you in fear. It can paralyze you into silence. But on the other side, it can sharpen you. It can shape you. It can turn you into something stronger than you ever imagined. The difference lies in your response. Do you run from it, or do you face it? Every scar on your body, every scar on your heart, it's a story, a lesson, a survival note written in flesh and memory. That heartbreak, it taught you what love really is. That betrayal, it showed you who your real friends are. That failure, it revealed what you're truly made of. But you wouldn't know any of it without the pain. You wouldn't grow without it. You wouldn't mature without it. You wouldn't evolve without it. I want you to think back every moment in your life where you felt crushed. Every night you thought you wouldn't make it. Every tear you thought nobody saw. You made it through, didn't you? You're still here. That means the pain didn't kill you. It forged you. And maybe you don't even realize it yet, but that fire you walked through, that's the same fire that gave you your strength today. See, the world wants comfort. It wants quick fixes, soft living shortcuts. But nothing powerful ever came from comfort. Diamonds don't come from pillows, they come from pressure. Steel doesn't come from ease, it comes from fire. And greatness doesn't come from comfort zones, it comes from pain. That's the dark truth nobody wants to hear. But you need to hear it. Because if you don't, you'll keep thinking that pain is proof you're failing. No, pain is proof you're growing. When I say pain is power, I mean this: every time you push through suffering, you build resilience. Every time you stand back up, you build character. Every time you endure the storm, you build strength. And eventually, that strength becomes unshakable. The world can't break a man who has been broken and put himself back together. The enemy can't scare a woman who has already faced her worst fears. Pain doesn't weaken you. It baptizes you. It makes you new. You know why most people are weak today? Because they avoid pain at all costs. They hide from discipline, from rejection, from struggle. They take the easy road. And what happens when life finally hits them? They shatter, they crumble, they fold. But the ones who embrace pain, the ones who learn to carry it, to sit with it, to learn from it, those are the ones who rise above. Those are the ones who can't be shaken. Think of every great man, every great woman you admire. Do you think their journey was easy? Do you think they woke up one day and just stepped into greatness? No. They walked through hell. They faced betrayal, loss, and defeat. And instead of letting it bury them, they let it birth them. They understood that pain wasn't there to destroy them. It was there to prepare them. So when pain shows up in your life, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? What is this shaping in me? What is this building inside of me? Shift your perspective. Stop seeing pain as an enemy. Start seeing it as a training ground. Start seeing it as the weight room for your soul. Every rep hurts, but every rep makes you stronger. Every tear is heavy, but every tear waters your growth. And listen, I'm not telling you to enjoy pain. Nobody enjoys it. I'm telling you to respect it, to recognize its purpose, to stop running from it. Because the very thing you're avoiding is the very thing that will give you your power. The pain you carry today might be the reason you find your strength tomorrow. Most people will never see their dreams. Not because they're not talented, not because they're not smart, not because they're not capable. No. They'll miss it because they traded discipline for distraction. They had the seeds of greatness in their hands, but they dropped them chasing noise. We live in a loud world. Every second, something is pulling at your attention. A phone buzzes, a headline, a rumor, a like, a comment, a whisper, a critic, and before you know it, your whole life is spent reacting to distractions instead of building your destiny. But let me tell you the truth. Success does not belong to the distracted. It belongs to the disciplined. The disciplined are rare. They are the ones who show up when they don't feel like it. They are the ones who keep moving when everyone else stops. They are the ones who live by principle, not impulse. And that is what separates the average from the great. You want to know what destroys more dreams than failure? Distraction, because failure at least teaches you. Failure at least gives you experience. But distraction, it steals your time quietly. It robs you while you laugh, while you scroll, while you gossip, while you waste hours on things that don't build you. And the worst part? You don't even realize what you've lost until it's too late. Discipline is the opposite of that. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is power. Discipline is the voice inside you that says, I don't care how I feel, I'm showing up anyway. And when you live like that, you separate yourself from the crowd. Because most people are slaves to their feelings. If they're tired, they quit. If they're bored, they stop. If they don't feel motivated, they wait. But the disciplined man, the disciplined woman, they move regardless. They build while everyone else sleeps. They grind while everyone else complains. They focus while everyone else is distracted. And here's what you need to understand. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's not about being harsh with yourself. Discipline is love. Discipline is choosing your future self over your current comfort. Discipline is saying, I love myself enough not to waste myself. That's why it's so powerful, because every act of discipline is an act of self-respect. Every time you stay focused, every time you resist the distraction, every time you honor your commitments, you're proving to yourself that your dream matters. But if you don't learn to master discipline, the distractions will master you. And trust me, this world is designed to keep you distracted. They want you entertained, not educated. They want you comfortable, not courageous. They want you passive, not powerful. And the more distracted you are, the easier you are to control. That's why discipline isn't just about success. It's about survival. It's about reclaiming your focus in a world built to steal it. Think about it. Every champion you admire, every leader you respect, every icon you look up to, they all had discipline. They weren't the most talented. They weren't always the smartest, but they were consistent. They kept showing up. They kept grinding. They kept sharpening their craft. And over time, the world had no choice but to notice. Because discipline creates results, and results are louder than opinions. Now, I know it's not easy. Discipline is lonely. Discipline is boring. Discipline doesn't get applause in the beginning. Nobody claps for you when you wake up at 5 a.m. Nobody congratulates you when you say no to a party so you can work on your vision. Nobody praises you when you stay quiet, focused, locked in. But later they'll wonder how you did it. Later they'll call you lucky. Later they'll forget the nights you sacrificed, the temptations you resisted, the distractions you ignored. But you'll know. You'll know it was discipline. See, distraction feels good now and leaves you empty later. Discipline feels hard now, but it rewards you forever. That's the trade-off. That's the choice. And every day, every single day, you're making that choice whether you realize it or not. Are you going to be a slave to distraction, or are you going to be a servant to discipline? One leads to regret. The other leads to greatness. So ask yourself, how much time have you wasted today? How many hours have you given away to distractions that won't matter 5 years from now? How many times did you scroll instead of build? How many times did you quit instead of push? How many times did you let your feelings decide instead of your discipline? Because those little choices add up, and eventually they decide your future. Purpose. That's the word most people never find. That's the key that unlocks everything. See, most people are not living, they're existing. They're drifting. They wake up, they go to work, they come home, they repeat. They're not guided by vision, they're guided by habit. And deep down, they feel it. They feel that emptiness, that void. That sense that something is missing. You know what's missing? Purpose. Because when you live without purpose, you're a slave. A slave to opinions, a slave to money, a slave to status, a slave to survival. You're chasing everything except the one thing that matters. But when you find your purpose, when you wake up every morning knowing exactly why you're here, exactly what you're fighting for, exactly what your mission is, that's freedom. That's when the chains fall off. That's when life shifts from existing to living. I need you to hear me. Purpose is not about fame. It's not about fortune. It's not about followers. Purpose is bigger than you. Purpose is the reason you were born. Purpose is the reason you survive everything you've been through. Purpose is the reason you couldn't quit even when you wanted to. Purpose is what gives meaning to the pain, direction to the struggle, and power to the fight. Without it, you're lost. With it, you're unstoppable. Most people are chasing pleasure instead of purpose, and that's why they stay empty. Pleasure fades, the party ends, the money runs out, the applause dies down. But purpose is eternal. Purpose doesn't care if people clap. Purpose doesn't care if people like you. Purpose doesn't care if the road is hard. Purpose only asks one question: will you be faithful? Will you show up? Will you carry the mission? And here's the truth. When you find your purpose, you find your freedom. Because suddenly you don't need their approval anymore. You don't need validation. You don't need to fit in. You don't need to beg for acceptance. You're living for something higher. You're living for something bigger. And that alignment makes you untouchable. People can reject you, but they can't stop your calling. They can doubt you, but they can't erase your mission. They can hate you, but they can't block what's destined for you. That's why the most dangerous person in the world is not the one with the most money, not the one with the most power, not the one with the loudest voice. The most dangerous person in the world is the one with a purpose, because purpose gives you focus. Purpose gives you strength. Purpose gives you resilience. Purpose gives you peace. Think about the greats. Every one of them was driven by purpose. Nelson Mandela sat in a cell for 27 years, but his purpose kept him free in spirit. Martin Luther King Jr. faced hatred, threats, and violence, but his purpose kept him marching. Mother Teresa gave her life to the poor, not because it was glamorous, but because her purpose demanded it. They weren't controlled by fear, by opinion, by rejection, because purpose is greater than all of that. So let me ask you, what's your purpose? Why are you here? What wakes you up in the morning? What keeps you going when everything around you falls apart? If you don't know yet, then that should be your mission, to find it. Because once you do, everything changes. You stop wasting time. You stop chasing approval. You stop getting lost in distractions. And you start walking in a direction. You start moving with clarity. You start living with conviction. And don't confuse purpose with position. Purpose is not always a stage, a spotlight, or a title. The purpose might be raising your children. The purpose might be building a business. Purpose might be helping the broken, feeding the hungry, healing the sick. Purpose is not about how big it looks to the world. It's about how true it feels to your soul. When you live with purpose, you live with freedom. Because now, you're no longer bound by comparison. You're no longer tied to other people's timelines. You're no longer shackled by fear. You're free. Free to walk your path. Free to carry your mission. Free to rise above the noise. And that's the kind of freedom no one can take from you. You've heard it all. Stop caring about their opinions. Learn that pain is not punishment. It is preparation. Discipline yourself when the world tries to distract you. And above all, live with purpose. Because purpose is freedom. Life is not about being liked. It's not about being comfortable. It's not about being safe. Life is about becoming who you were meant to be. And that will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you applause. It will cost you fake friends. It will cost you ease. But what you gain is everything. So from this moment on, stop shrinking. Stop waiting. Stop living for them. Start living for you. Start living for God. Start living for the mission that burns inside your chest. Because when you do that, when you step fully into who you are without fear, without apology, without hesitation, that's when you stop existing and you start living.